Your 60s can be the best time to reinvent yourself and rewrite your story. And I am definitely proof of that. I had been reflecting on the fact that a year ago and almost a year ago, I was living in the Bay Area. I was working in corporate America. I was single. I'd been divorced for a little over 4 years, and I wasn't on social media. And I just started really listening to my soul, deep something inside, like, where do I start with this? And for me, the start was to move back to San Diego. And in May of last year, on May 11th, I moved from the Bay Area back to San Diego, to an area that I was familiar with, that I loved, and it was close by the beach. And since that time, I have stepped away from corporate America. I started my own consulting business. I have a pet services business that I also do, and I'm actually in a relationship with a really wonderful man. And I sit back here 11 months later. That just wasn't my intention last year. My intention was, I'm not happy with my life. What is going on with me? And I started, I just took this inward journey that I had been on kind of since my divorce, definitely went through that period. And then, a couple of years ago, started dating men that just was not a good fit. And I really got to see these things in myself that I needed to change, which is, if I want an emotionally intimate, happy, committed relationship, that I actually needed to become that person to have that. And boy, did that open so many doors for me of looking at my relationship attachment style. I'm a fearful avoidant. I can get anxious and shut down in a minute, and I'm really working that. Being in corporate America, driving in traffic 2 hours to 2.5 hours a day, working 50 hours a week, and coming back to San Diego and realizing, I actually like walking on the beach, and I like having time to walk on the beach. I like to have time to think and be out in nature. And these avenues, because I was open, because I didn't let my fear stop me, I started thinking about things that I actually wanted to do. And for me, I've always been a pet lover. For those of you that know me, I have several cats. I used to do trap, neuter, release. I'm just a big proponent of animals, dogs, cats. And I ended up getting involved in being a contractor for a local woman-owned concierge pet sitting company that I just actually love doing. I also got here and realized that I felt like I had a message to tell other people in their 60s, like what I'm doing, reinventing myself. I'm not the only one out there doing this. And I always think it's good to know that you're not the only one out there doing this. And I really started seeing that I wanted to get out there on social media to support that process. So it's like all this was swirling around, and in the back of my head was, I really should get a job in management. I really should get a job in management. And the truth is, nothing interested me, and it wasn't about money. This was not about money. I was looking at jobs that actually interested me to a degree, but I just could not imagine myself doing it for 40 or 50 hours a week. So I took this leap, which was very uncomfortable, and it took me, I would say, moved here in May till probably October to let go of thinking I needed to be in corporate America again. I mean, it was definitely, that's because that's how I viewed myself, which is why I think your 60s is the best time to reinvent yourself and rewrite your story. It's like, who was I? I worked in corporate America. I got married later in life because of that. I was a wife. Then I'm a divorcee. Who am I? Like, you get to the point where there's more years and there's less years in front of me and a lot more years in back of me in my 60s. And I really started thinking about what was going to make me happy. And that, I think that's what's been driving me, is what's going to make me happy in making those decisions. And was there a lot of fear? Absolutely. Did I do things, whether it was with social media and really working with some great coaches. I worked with a wonderful tarot reader, and I work with a wonderful business coach now, just slowly educating myself to put myself out there and to get out there. And it's actually the same thing I did in the dating world. I tried this, it was kind of like a test. I joined Match.com, put myself out there with the goal of just having fun and learning about myself. And truthfully, that is exactly what I did. I had fun. I learned a lot about myself. I learned how to have boundaries, which is what I didn't have in my marriage, and certainly some of the men that I dated in the past couple of years. Boundaries of what's safe for me, what do I need. I'm an overgiver, and it's really important for me to feel emotionally safe. This isn't about financially, it's obviously physical is a non-negotiable. But, I'm a pretty independent woman, and safety, emotional safety is important to me. But again, I never put that out there. So I had fun on Match.com, and I actually met someone, truthfully, by chance. But I was already open to the energy. And so I think I'm sitting here in April, almost being in San Diego for a year now. Really, so much has changed. And it's because I looked inward. I just looked inward at what would make me happy, and I started taking steps towards it. And am I making the money that I did in the Bay Area? Absolutely not. Am I 100% happier than I was in the Bay Area? Absolutely. And so if you're in your 60s and you're coming out of big life changes, divorce, you're a widow or a widower, you're stepping away, you're thinking about stepping away from a career, life's too short. Really start thinking about it. Do what makes you happy. Obviously, do what's sensible. So I reinvented myself, and it's crazy. And there's still so much more to go. And I look forward a year from now repeating this video of what's changed. So if you're out there and you'd like to do a discovery session with me, I would love to support you. My email is in my description. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love for you to share my video and know that the goal is to be happy. You can reinvent yourself. This is actually the time to do it.